Sorry, motion carries 3-0. Okay. Special requests or continuances?
Yes, we do have a special request or continuance. Russell Brown is on Zoom.
Thank you, Gabe. Madam Chair, Russell Brown, with the law firm of Clark Quinn here on the matters for racetrack. Given that you only have 3 members present this evening, our request would be to continue this to your first hearing in June. Eric Prime, who's representing adjacent property owners, I believe is there. And I communicated with him in advance that we will be asking for this continuance this evening. And
Okay,
this would be for both the use petition and the dimensional standards variance.
okay. And that would be, let's say for June, and what date would that be?
The 12th.
June the 12th? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the continuance.
I'll make a motion to move it to June 12th.
For both petitions, BZA 2022-046 and 047. Motion to continue to June the 12th. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, see you then.
Bye-bye.
Next up, findings of fact. BCA 2023-010 Development Standards Variance for petition with petitioner Chris Magnus for 1338 West Curry Road.
Madam Chairwoman, in consideration of statutory criteria, I move that we adopt the written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into the record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number BZA 2023-010.
Second.
Motion by Mr. King. Second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Next up is findings of fact for BZA 2023-015 Development Standards Variance. Petitioner Russell Brown on behalf of Quick Trip for the southeast corner of Graham Road and East Main Street.
Madam Chairwoman, in consideration of statutory criteria, I move that we adopt the written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into the record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number BZA 2023-015.
We have a motion. Second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries 3-0. Okay, for old business, we already have continuance approved for BCA 2022-046 and 2022-047. So we're moving on to old business from the floor. Seeing none. New business. First up, BZA 2023-016 Development Standards Variance for 2441 East Main Street. Petitioner F.A. Willem Construction Company on behalf of Eli Lilly Company requesting relief from section 10-03-09C. Fence height to allow a 6-foot tall fence in a front yard. Are all the papers in order?
Yep, the order, papers and notices are all in order, and it is in our file.
Okay,
And I move to admit a copy of the Unified Development Ordinance.
okay. Are those wishing to speak to this petition, please stand and be sworn in. Okay, you want to get sworn in first?
Yes, ma'am. Do you swear not to practice perjury? Doesn't make us do that strong.
Okay, you want to go to the podium, make sure that the microphone is on?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfect. Okay, tell us why you are here. And first off, give us your name and address and then tell us why you're here.
Hi, I'm Jamila Mintz with In and Out Unlimited. I am speaking on behalf of F.A. Wilhelm Construction Company. And my address is 6919 East 10th Street, Suite E4, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46219.
Okay, tell us why you are here today.
We are here just to petition the board for approval of the 6-foot tall fence. We are aware that this is outside of the normal height restriction for the area and just ask for approval to conduct the fencing around this property. We are aware that there is an additional piece of this request that will be handled and that will be moved into the June 5th encroachment section of the project, which is being handled right now.
Okay. Now you have your copy of the statutory criteria and the answers to those so that we can read them into the record.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I'll begin and then you respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
Because this is on private property and we are fully aware that the fence will only be used to secure the employee section of parking for the building that has been constructed. And it will be a simple 6-foot fence with a swinging arm that allows for permit parking only for the employees.
You can just read the answers.
Oh, sorry.
it's fine.
The use and value of the area adjacent. No,
I'll start that one. Number two,
never mind. I'm gonna look at the second page.
you're fine.
The fence is just slightly higher than allowed, and the higher fence is just to provide more security.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
The area is currently mostly warehouse type buildings. A slightly taller fence would have no impact. Many of the neighbors currently have installed taller fences.
number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
The shorter fence does not deter crime as much. We have had several incidences on the property that motivated us to file this variance.
and I'll take the last one, the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation.
That is not applicable.
Yeah, I took that one. So do you have anything else you wish to say at this time regarding this petition?
I'm good, not at this time.
Okay, staff have some comments before opening to the board?
Staff is recommending a favorable recommendation of this variance request. We do have a proposed condition that the location and materials of the fence shall substantially conform to what is shown in exhibits B and C. If there's minor engineering concerns, they are working with our engineering department for an encroachment. If they need to shift it around for anything resulting from those concerns, we're okay with that happening. But as the petitioner said, the 4-foot height of the fence that is allowed really does not deter crime or people breaking in to their facilities. And we're in agreement with the petitioner's statement of reasons.
Okay, and you're okay with the conditions that this city has asked to be
Yes,
included?
yes.
Okay. All right, we'll close the hearing. Any questions?
Just a comment, the word slightly is not proper since it's 33% more, but it's okay.
Oh, you're regarding the between a 4 and a 6 foot.
That
fence.
slightly means a few inches.
Okay, take that for value. What about you? No questions? And I have nothing as far as any questions. So
Can you spell your last name?
MINTZE.
Well, I will entertain a motion for admitting the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Okay, I have a motion for admitting the evidence. A second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Entertain a motion on for the decision on the application.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve this request with the one noted condition that location of the fence and fence material type should substantially conform to what is shown in exhibits B and C. Minor alteration to the fence location in order to accommodate engineering and stormwater concerns is permissible.
I have a motion on the decision.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor to approve the request, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. That means that we have approved your request, but the final legal approved won't be for 2 weeks when we do our findings of fact, but you can proceed with plans to move forward, working with the city on what else you need to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Now entertain a motion for the written findings of fact.
Madam Chairwoman, having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation Counsel's Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number BZA 2023-016. Said findings to specifically incorporate staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
I have a motion. By Mr. King. And a
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0. Okay, moving on to the next petition, BCA 2023-017, Development Standards Variance for 1387 West Stones Crossing Road, petitioner James Coop, requesting relief from the following sections of the Unified Development Ordinance. Section 10-03-13C, accessory structures, to remove the requirement for a 36-inch wainscot and mortared masonry for accessory structures over 300 square feet. And subsection 7, to allow a 4,608 square foot accessory structure exceeding the UDO maximum 150% of the enclosed square footage of the primary structure. And section 10-03-02F, parking area surfaces, subsection 4, to allow a gravel driveway extension. Do we have all of the notices in order?
We have everything we need, and everything's on file.
Okay,
And I've moved to enter into evidence the copy unified development ordinance.
okay, thank you. All those wishing to present evidence for and against, please stand and be sworn in.
You swear to practice perjury, testimony is true to the best of your knowledge.
Thank you. And give us your name and address for the record before we begin.
The current address, my name is James Coop, C-O-O-P is last name. My current address is 1088 Sweet Briar Drive, Greenwood, 46143.
Okay, now go ahead and tell us why you are here.
We're petitioning for a variance, 3 different variances. We're rehabbing our home and we're building a pole barn behind our home. And we're 3 different variances that we need to get to try to get the pole barn the way that we dreamed of it.
Okay, anything? Before we get to the statutory criteria?
I do have some pictures I would love to give you if I'm allowed.
Sure.
I would have done a PowerPoint, but I'm way too old to understand how to work that. So Well, I tried to get my daughter to do it, but she just graduated from IU on Saturday,
A little bit.
and she had other plans, yes. I think it's, you guys did.
Thank you.
Do you want to describe what we're looking at here?
Okay, so yeah, so these pictures kind of detail all three of the variances. There's several different pictures of the surrounding homes surrounding my home. Most of, well, all of them have no brick or mortar on the 36-inch wainscot. They all do have wainscot, but it's metal wainscot, which we are also doing. Also, the majority of them, the gravel drives extend, the ones that have gravel drives already, they have a gravel drive extension back to their pole barn. Several of them have no gravel drive back to their pole barn, it's just grass. And the one, several of them that have pavement currently also have gravel extended back to their pole barn or garage. And there is one there that you'll see, I think I wrote that a neighbor just 2 doors down, I believe was approved by the board, I believe last year. Very similar situation to what I'm doing as well. Very similar looking barn. I did have a question if I may too. So one of the variance petitions, it was about the size, which was 46, what was 4608, I think. It had to be full, well, the size of the barn was 4,608 square feet, and it had to be under 150% of my enclosed home. And we have figured out, I think, since that our new home that we're building onto, it's going to be 3,111 square foot. So we're actually about 50 square foot over, probably not meeting the variance. I don't know how we handle that. But we keep making the current house bigger.
Way, and we've talked about this quite a bit, the way we look at it is we have calculated off what is there now.
That makes
I know you're going to.
It's almost under road.
It will be in compliance, but yeah, not quite yet.
Okay, fair enough.
We're towards your variance.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's kind of like which comes first.
You're right, yeah, exactly. I got you.
Okay, so if you have nothing else before we go through the statutory criteria, we'll move on to that.
Okay.
Okay, variance number 1, to remove the requirement for the mortared masonry wainscot. I'll lead into it and then you respond.
Okay.
The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
It will be located roughly 50 yards behind our property. The structure will be a very nice looking structure and will be very similar or above quality to all pole barns in the surrounding areas and neighbors.
number 2, the issue and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
The pole barn will be located solely on our property, as well as the ingress and egress to said pole barn will be located solely on our property and within building setback lines, easements, etc.
number 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
I know that this one doesn't technically count, but adding brick to the front of the pole barn would cause the cost of the build to be raised outside of our overall budget on the rehab of the home and barn combination. Could I add something to that, or is that not? Okay, so I have, since we've been in the project of building our current home, the stone on our home is from the 1970s, and there's parts of our home we're gonna have to add stone to, and it is virtually impossible to find stone that matches. We've actually taken some of this off of our house to use on the new portion of the house that we're building, and we wouldn't have enough stone to even match in that facade on the pole barn.
okay, let's go on to variance number 2, to allow an accessory structure larger than 150% of the primary structure. Number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
It'll be located roughly 50 yards behind our property. The structure will be very nice looking. It will be very similar to all pole barns in the surrounding area and neighbors.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
The pole barn will be located solely on our property, as well as the ingress egress to said pole barn will be located solely on our property and within building setback lines, easements, etc.
And number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
The size of the barn is what we would need to be able to store our boat, trailers, RV, off-road vehicles, classic cars, etc. inside.
And number four, I'll take that one. The structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. Moving on to variance number three, to allow a gravel driveway extension. Number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
The gravel drive will be consistent with current driveways adjacent and around our property, including the long driveway extending past our property to the east.
number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
The driveway will be solely on our property and within building setback lines.
number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
We are making additional improvements to the new construction on our primary home. We'll be using and storing large equipment over the next several years, as well as making additional improvements. And the asphalt and concrete would not be conducive to the weight of the equipment that we'll be using to make those improvements.
and number four, I'll take that one. The structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. And I understand the staff wants to present some information.
I just have a few comments on anything new to present. As you've probably seen, staff report, we are not providing a favorable recommendation for any of the three variances. However, for the first two, which is building size and the masonry wainscot, if you do find in favor, we would ask for two conditions. One, that the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and the building elevations in Exhibit D. And two, that the structure shall be used only for non-commercial purposes.
Anything else?
We'll have.
Okay.
I do just kind of have one thing to add. As far as just the timing of our ordinance was adopted in October of 2020, and then October 4th of 2021, council did vote to approve some of the accessory structure standards that we are seeing before us today, relating to the masonry wainscot and the size limitations. So that partly explains why some of the surrounding area does not have the same style of garage as he might have proposed, or that we're asking him to have.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this petition? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. Mehar, do you have any questions? Mr. King?
No, well, so, I mean, I know we have to go off what's there now, but we're talking what, 6 months, definitely within a year, the sizes will.
We'll be under roof this week. We will be finished project, we're hoping early September
And then we wouldn't be here for a variance, is that right?
for the one.
For the one.
For the one, I mean, the size, yeah. The wainscot thing, to me, fits that area pretty well, so I don't know if I have a concern with that. On that, I'll have-
My only concern is the length of the drive that you're looking at doing is extending from the current,
Correct, yeah, the current driveway is probably, I don't know specific, probably 100 feet maybe. And we're adding an additional drive of maybe 30, I'm guessing. I just literally by eyeballing, but again, the current driveway is, well, it was rocket, it needs replaced, but yeah. We are planning on putting a pool, the main reason for the one is we're planning on putting a pool and a back patio and all kinds of stuff, so the equipment needed to do that without, destroying concrete and asphalt.
I'm gonna ask one question. This one picture of the gravel to the drive to the barn, is the barn being replaced by this pole barn?
This isn't my home.
Oh.
This is one of the neighbors' homes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is one of the neighbors' homes,
Okay.
just across the street from down, I think, a house.
I'm just trying to visualize how this is gonna sit compared with your existing.
Yeah, so my house sits, right on Stone's Crossing. The driveway is to the west or to the right of the home. It will extend back. There's a swell in my yard there. We're gonna put a culvert in and go over that swell. So it'll sit towards the back of my property more. And the bay doors will actually be facing east, so they won't be facing the road. So the 48-foot side will be on the road, and there'll be a door, a little porch on there.
So as it is now, you've got a house and a garage, and this is gonna be behind the garage.
Well, so we tore down the garage. So the garage was a barn from probably the 80s. It was very not appealing. So we actually tore down that barn already to make room to extend the driveway.
Okay. So you're looking at going straight back over where the barn, the garage would have been
Correct, yeah.
to this pole barn. Okay. I think I understand. All right, then. I'll entertain a motion to admit the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
A motion from Mr. King, second from Mr. Milberg. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. I'll take a motion on petition number 1. The request to remove the requirement for mortared masonry wainscot.
Before we dig into it, the ballot has requested to twice, just
Okay.
before we dig too far into this. I don't
I'll
want
say
anyone
we will
I don't want anyone confused.
delete one of the request twos, so we don't do it twice. All right, so request number 1,
I move that we approve this request with the staff's conditions. The final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D. And the structure shall be used for residential purposes only. Commercial activities and uses shall be prohibited.
Just to clarify, when we say residential purposes, we do not mean residential living occupancy.
Yep.
Just for the record, to show that it means non-commercial,
non-habitable.
non-business, yes.
I have 5 cars, a boat, and a helicopter I can store them in. I'm not saying, you
Let's
do,
not-
but I'm just clarifying.
I didn't have a
But you
helicopter
can't
on
live
there,
in
but
there
I
with them.
think-
I can't live in there with them. No, I
Okay.
want to.
Thank you. Can I get a second by Mr.
Second.
Milburn? Okay. All those in favor of this request, right hand, raise your right hand. Okay. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries for that request. Make sure you sign on the second page there.
It's that one, that's
Yes,
the
I see.
request.
Yeah, you can watch all the details here. Okay. Request number 2, to allow accessory structure larger than 150% of the primary structure. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Excuse me. I move that we approve this with the previously stated conditions.
We have a motion to approve the request for the request number 2.
Second. on the
Second.
motion.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. And all the signatures. Check those little boxes there for the conditions. And request number 3, to allow a gravel driveway expansion. I'll entertain a motion on this request.
I move that we approve this with the previously stated conditions.
Motion to approve the request. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Milburn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What we have done is we approved your 3 requests with the conditions that this city had indicated, and you're free to move forward, working with the city on anything that needs to be done to comply with this, and we'll make the formal approval in 2 weeks when we meet again.
Sure. Awesome, thank you so much.
I'll entertain a motion for the written findings of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Chairwoman, having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation Counsel's Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision excuse me, on the variance request presented, in variance petition number VZA 2023-017. Said findings to specifically incorporate the staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milburn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Okay. Moving on to our last petition for this evening, BZA 2023-018 Development Standards Variance Petitioner Eric Prime on behalf of Dexios Food Ventures LLC, requesting relief from section 10-03-09G regarding screening, mechanical equipment, subsection 1, to allow screening to be of a material other than the predominant building material. Do we have all of the notices in order?
All the notices and application materials are in order and they're in our file.
Okay. How about the legal?
I move to admit a copy of the Unified Development Ordinance to the record.
All those wishing to present evidence for or against, please stand and be sworn in.
Please swear not to perjury, testimony is true to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
And whoever's presenting, if you want to take the podium. Tell us why you are here today.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. Eric Prime, Bay Area Law Firm, 225 South Emerson, on behalf of the petitioner Dexios Food Ventures, known as and operating as Intilligy Restaurant. They're located in the Kroger Center at 135, just south of Smoky Row Road. We're here this evening to discuss well, here, I'll give you real quick, just to orient you. This is where we are. The largest part of this, the white roof area is the Kroger itself. And then there's a set of B centers that go south from there. We are actually in the end unit, the furthest south piece of this property. There's a little bit closer view. You can see how we are situated. And then this is kind of a schematic. This is important for what I'm about to tell you. Right now, there's a walk-in cooler in the kitchen, inside the building. The original plans for the building called for it to be external. There was some issue about whether or not it was an accessory use, permitted, not permitted, in an effort to get open because they were already behind schedule thanks to supply chain issues and other problems. they've been paying rent for some time without being open, so they just made room for it in the kitchen and shoved it inside and got open. So they've been in business for, 2 months, 3 months, and going gangbusters, but that's the problem. This cooler really wasn't supposed to be in the kitchen. It's taking up an area that would have been the office, where they would have done payroll and ordering and all of those things. They have no office space, and they had to give up a big chunk of prep space and dish cleaning space, so they're really cramped. They need to get this cooler back out. So where it will sit is on the lower corner of that old area, just behind the facility. If you can see all the parking striping to the left side of that picture, that's facing west toward 135. So the opposite side is the back side of this facility, and the back side of all of the other tenants in that strip center are facing east. Behind them, behind those the doors that access the backs of those buildings, is a landscaped area with multiple dumpsters. Those dumpsters also have screening behind them. And then behind that, you can see the green earthen mound that also screens all of that from anything further east. So what we're looking at is what will actually be a basically hardy plank style fiber cement screening structure that will be placed around the cooler. The cooler is 7.5 feet in height. This would be 8 feet of fence, so it would be completely covered by this fencing material. We think it looks really nice. It will blend in with what's there. We actually are going to have an outdoor seating area right around the corner from this, so we want it to look nice as well. It's not just something that we're going to slap up. It's important for us to make it look good for our customers who are going to be sitting right near it. And then here we go. That's just a quick look at the cooler itself. So, you know, it's metal, and so the screening is good. It's required, and we're happy to comply with that. The problem is the UDO, this is actually a little busy, but if you want to look at it real quick, this gives you an idea. On the left side is the cooler in the building, up in the upper right-hand corner of the left side. That's where it is, taking up all the space now. And it's a little hard to see with the folks that are online, but oh, there we go. We're going to move that. Nice, thank you. That's where the cooler will be, on the back corner. If you look at the schematic on the right side, the upper right is where it will end up. Again, on the back side of this building, and pretty much won't be visible to anybody else. And so with that, the ordinance would have required us to use the same materials that the building is made out of as screening materials. And that's the variance we're asking for, is to move from those materials to what you saw, which was basically the hardy plank style fiber cement panels that would be put up. And so let's run through the statutory criteria real quick, and I'll explain why we need to do that.
Okay. Number one, the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
This actually says vinyl, but it is hardy plank fiber cement. But the request will allow for the use of quality fencing. For purpose of screening mechanical equipment, it will not affect public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. In fact, it will be an upgrade over having just a bare cooler sitting there.
number two, the use of value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
Again, it's actually, this enhances any uses nearby by screening. I don't think, even if the cooler was sitting out there, this is so far away from any other uses. As I said, screened by the dumpsters, which are screened themselves, and then screened by the buffering mound. It really almost wouldn't have mattered if the cooler was sitting there. I don't think anybody would notice, but it does add to the value by having the screening there.
number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
So much like the prior gentleman, this building was constructed in 2016. Finding the masonry materials to match would be pretty much impossible. And we are a tenant in this center. We are not allowed to make permanent changes to the facility. So to put up actual masonry walls around this would require substantial building and anchoring of a frame system to hang the masonry on, which would require a permanent change. What we're suggesting is this hardy plank material, it will be well anchored and bolted into the concrete, but it will be easily removable if our tenancy ends, and will not be a permanent change to the facility. So for those two reasons, we think having to comply with the ordinance would present practical difficulties. Plus, we get the cooler out of the building.
And I'll take number 4, the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. You said you wanted to add more?
No, that's it. I think it's just important to know that, that this is an ongoing business. They're doing really well. The original intention was to have the cooler exterior to the building, and then allowing us to do this will do so and in a way that's nice looking and will not have any impact on the neighboring uses.
And was there someone else wishing to speak? I saw someone else.
That's my client, Bob Sendelbach. He's here just to answer any additional questions if they were to arise.
Okay. From the city, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Eric did a great job, but I think there's one piece that I'd like to add, and that is our ordinance says that it cannot be visible from public ways. Mechanical equipment can't be. If this could be tucked away further enough away from the edge of the building on the roof, like you'll see a air conditioning unit or something where you can't see it from the public way, it wouldn't need a variance. A cooler, you can't put that on the roof. It does need to be ground level. And the way their site is positioned, they're surrounded by public ways and public view. There's not a better location for this to go if they require this cooler. So for those reasons, they do, I believe, have a practical difficulty in meeting this with them having a tenant space and the masonry wall that they're adding. You know, if they attach that to the building, you even get into looking at the foundation of the building and what's that on. It would truly have to be a screen, but it's very difficult to do a brick screen that doesn't look like a large brick wall.
Okay. Close a public hearing. Questions or comments from the panel? Mr. Mulder?
No.
I have one question. Back when you showed the picture of the cooler, add a handle, but I didn't see how that was secured. And for public safety, I'm concerned about anyone being able to get into that cooler and particularly get in and freeze to death because they don't know how to get out or something. You know what I'm saying here? And a fence doesn't sound like something that's going to protect somebody from climbing over, getting in and having something happen, bad happen.
The door actually opens into the door, so. the
Okay,
door
that's
itself is
what, I wasn't clear with the picture. It showed it as freestanding and that made me nervous,
Sure.
having a freestanding cooler. So what we're saying is you can't get to it except through the building.
Correct.
That helps me. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to admit the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application, and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milburn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Take a motion on the petition itself.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we approve the request with the condition screening and screening location shall substantially conform to exhibits B and C.
Motion by Mr. King,
Second.
second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor, right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. You are okay to move forward with the city on anything that needs to be done to make it happen. Final approval be in 2 weeks. Okay? All right, moving on, new business from the floor. Sorry, no, I'm sorry, thank you. Motion for written findings of fact, thank you very much.
Having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation Counsel's Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number BZA 2023-018. Said findings to specifically incorporate the staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Miller. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. And now we'll move to new business from the floor. Seeing none. The announcements. City,
No announcements here. I guess do we plan to have a full forum next week? 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
as far as I know,
I'll speak.
I expect to be here. That will be on what day? Second.
Perfect. And then we do have items for our next meeting, in addition to the findings of that from this meeting.
Well, we at least plan on having a quorum. Hopefully the other 2 members will be back from their travels. We'll still work. Travels, whatever. Okay, and have anything from the
Nothing from legal.
attorney from legal? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
BZA is closed. You can stop the recording.
Thank you very much.